it would cost us too much, wouldn't you rather just give us the money? And I said, no, I would rather you took me to prison. When can I go? And they said, later. So I left court and I thought probably in the next week or so I will get a letter or a knock on the door or even just a little card saying go to jail, go directly to jail, do not. Nothing. But what I did was some research, because comics have a lot of time on their hands in the day and tend to be pedantic. Now it turns out, if you're sentenced to 28 days, you've actually only got to go to prison for half of it. So I wrote to the Home Office and said, please can you confirm that I would actually only have to go for half my sentence? And they wrote back and said, yes, that's true. And I wrote back again and said, thank you for confirming that. Is it also try and get time off for good behaviour? And they wrote back and said, yes, you get another 4 days off. And I wrote back again and said, is it true that there's still a law called the early release scheme, when non-violent offenders get let out 18 days before the end of their sentence? And they wrote back and said, yes, that is still in effect. And I said, but doesn't that mean you owe me 8 days? As you do not have the power to prolong my life, I will accept £1,000. The Home Office wrote back and said, can you stop bombarding us with stupid letters? And I wrote back and said, or what? You'll send me to prison. Then it got embarrassing, because I told my mates I was going to prison. I'd see them, they'd say, how was prison? And I'd say, I haven't been. And they'd say, yeah, you're not going. This is like when you were going to go to Tibet and live with the Dalai Lama. And I said, no, I'm fucking going. So I wrote to the Home Office and said, I'm now insisting on serving my whole 28-day sentence because of peer pressure. However, I found out I had more rights. If you're going to prison for less than 3 months for a financial thing, you're what's called a civil criminal. You have certain rights, one of which is you get to pick your prison. So I said I'd like to go to Leyhill Open Prison because it's quite near here and it's got a 9-hole golf course and a go-kart track. No reply. Now it also turns out you haven't got to go all in one go, because obviously prison should be inconvenient. You can do odd days here and there to fit around work, so I said I'd like to go to Leyhill on Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesday mornings so I can have French lessons, guitar lessons and get around to golfing. Still no reply. I thought perhaps there's a waiting list. I sent them another letter saying here's a list of gigs I've got around the country, days off in between prisons nearby. On page 4 of the letter I did a chart linking it all up. I said if I serve my sentence at those prisons on those dates, firstly, I'll be spending less money on hotels, thus reducing the financial incentive for me to re-offend. Secondly, I'll be driving less, it'll reduce my carbon footprint. Together we can save the planet. No reply. I then went to Leyhill with an overnight bag and said I'm here to do some prison. They said, well, you're not on the list. And I said, no, I know I don't have a reservation. But what I was thinking was, if somebody escapes, can I have their rooms when we get them back? And they said, we haven't got the facilities. And I said, yeah, but I've told all my mates I'm coming to prison and they don't believe me. Can I just stay for the day? And they said, no, we haven't got the facilities. And I said, well, is the car park prison property? And they said, yes. And I said, can you see that red car? And they said, yes. And I said, well, that's my car. If I stay in the car for the day, will that count? And they said, no, since those police dogs died, we can't lock anybody or anything in a car for more than an hour. I said, how about I stay in the car for an hour, come out, check in with you, get back in the car, let's get a day done. And they said, no, because if you fall over, we'll get sued. And I said, what about if I stay in the car as a protest about the fact that you won't send me to prison? And they said, and I think they're quite right, that I should fuck off. In the end, I bottled out and paid the fine because I was doing a gig in Wales. Yay! So that's not a hat, it's just a growth. I was doing a gig in Wales, this guy came up to me, he looked like a retired biker with long white hair and a long white beard and a black leather waistcoat and a big chain from his pocket to his wallet. And he said, mate, you do not want to go to Leyhill. I did 4 months there at the end of a 3-year sentence. You do not want to go. And I thought, shit, all that stuff I've seen on Prison Break and The Green Mile and The Shawshank Redemption is true. And if I go to prison, I'm going to get raped in the showers and stabbed in the yard. And my lily white arse is going to get sold to the Aryan Brotherhood for a packet of cigarettes. And he said, you do not want to go to Leyhill. The golf course is shit. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back tomorrow comparing this. I'll hand you back to Silky. Thank you, good night.